Are you hungry?
Give me something good.
Hi, and welcome to another episode of Görgött. Today we're making, I would probably say it's one of my at least top 15 Asian dishes. It's an Indonesian dish originally, I think. It's called Beef Rendang. And it's a very kind of dry curry with a lot of coconut flavor. It's going to be amazing. But before we have a look at all the ingredients, there's quite a lot of prep work today, but I've done most of it, so I'm not going to bore you with it. But before we have a look at it, please do me a favor. If you're not supporting the channel yet, please click that subscribe button and check the bell icon. The bell icon helps you to get notifications every time a new episode is online, which is every Tuesday at 7 o'clock CET. But now, let's have a look at the board. We need coconut milk. We'll get that out of the way. Then we have a wonderful piece of short rib. I took away the bone already. It has a bit too much fat for this dish, I think. So we're gonna keep some of the fat, render it down and use that instead of oil. And the rest we're gonna just clean up and cube up. So I'll put that to the side as well. This is toasted coconut called kerisik. And I'll show you how I did that. So this is where we make our kerisik, our toasted coconut. This is basically just coconut flakes that we're just gonna toast in a dry frying pan. Stay with your frying pan because this could go quickly and you don't want to burn it. You want it nicely toasted but not burnt because that's just bitter. So things are starting to happen. You can tell by the color. Getting a little bit brownish. But just keep watching and tossing and mixing so that it doesn't burn. So we're getting pretty close. And we can almost move over to the mortar. I'll see in a bit. So this is the color you're looking for. Try to get as much of it in to the mortar instead of next to it. And now all we do is pound it. And this will take a while, so I'll see once it's done. So I like to leave a little bit of texture in it. So for our purposes, this is perfect. And I will just transfer this over. And what you don't use for your rendang, you can keep in a dry space for quite a while. We're not going to need not even half of this probably. So I will keep it in the storage, what do you call it, the larder. That's it. Simple enough, right? We put this to the side as well. We're going to use it towards the end of the cooking process. Spread it out a bit more here. Now, this side here is to kind of flavor or aromatize during the cooking process. And this is for the curry that you start the cooking process with. So let's have a quick look here. We have some Kaffir lime leaves. We have a cinnamon stick. In this bag, it's one of these tea bags that you can buy and fill. And I like to use it when I cook things like this because it keeps the stuff together that's not so nice to chew on. I have some star anise. We have some green cardamom pods. I crushed them so they're open. And we have a couple of cloves. So don't forget that. We have some ketchup mayonnaise. It's kind of an Indonesian sweet soy sauce. We have some palm sugar. They come in these kind of pucks. I just shaved it with a knife. So that's that. And some shrimp paste. Don't forget the shrimp paste. Doesn't smell wonderful, but tastes amazing. And here we have some tamarind water. I'll get the tamarind and I'll show you what it looked like before we put it in water. So basically this is the tamarind. It's quite sticky. And you just put that in water and let it dissolve. So this is just going to need to spoon in some of the water. It has a very fruity, but as well a very sour taste to it. Goes great with this dish. So that's what we need for later. Now this is what we need to make our curry paste. We have some chopped shallots. We have lemongrass, galangal, ginger, garlic. The ginger and garlic I grated because I think that's easier. The galangal is chopped finely, as well as the lemongrass. We have some dried chilies that we chopped finely, but before we did that, we soaked them in water to make them soft and rehydrate them a bit again. And we have some fresh chili as well as some salt. It's kind of more or less equal quantities of everything except the salt. So the onions, lemongrass, galangal, ginger, garlic, dried and fresh chili. And now we're going to put all of this in our mortar. So it's the second time we use the mortar for this dish. Second and last time. There's no specific order, just get everything in there. And it might seem like a lot of chili, but this is a very slow and long cooking dish. And I find they tend to lose a bit of their punch. So go rather more than less. And now we're back to pounding. It's good for the arms, it's a good exercise. But I will see you, because this is boring to watch, in, I don't know, maybe 5 minutes, 10 minutes, depending on how long it takes. See you in a bit. Now, I'm getting tired, so I'm going to take a break and do something else in between. Let's prep the meat, and then we'll continue with this. Now, you can normally just go in with your hands a bit here. And release this top cap. I don't know the correct term, but you can imagine the ribs go this way, and this is on top of that. I'm going to leave this because I'll maybe take just this part away. You don't want it to be completely fat-free. But this is more connecting tissues than fat, so we'll get rid of this. Now, if I would have done this just for me, I would have left all of this on and just diced the whole thing up. But both my wife and my daughter don't like the texture of this when it's cooked for a long time. It gets a bit blobbery, if that's the right word for it. We're going to remove the top cap here. As you can see, I'm not a trained butcher. Try to leave as little meat on what you're removing as possible. I know this is boring to watch as well, so let's cut until it's a clean piece, and then we'll continue from there. I hope you can see this, but this part here is pure fat. So that's what we're going to use to render down and fry both the meat and the curry paste in. And just continue loosening this up. This is also mostly fat, so we could render that too if we need more. We'll keep this to one side. So we have our meat cleaned well enough. We have some pure fat and the trimmings. It's quite a lot of fat in here too. We'll throw this away. This we're going to fry in, and this will continue to prep. I will just cut them down to more manageable pieces. And now basically just cube them up. Now this for me is the best part of the meat. This has a very different texture, but this with the intramuscular fat just melts in your mouth. But it doesn't really matter. I think in a dish like this, it kind of lives from the little nuances, right? So it's okay to use two different types of meat, although it comes from the same cut. So we're ready. My arm has rested long enough. Let's continue with the curry. It didn't run away and it didn't make itself, unfortunately. So we'll just continue. I'll see you in a bit. To me, this is perfect. So we're going to leave it at that. And we're going to move over to the stove. We're first going to fry off the meat and then we'll start the whole curry. So I'll move the camera over there and see you in a bit. So we'll start with rendering down some of the fat so that we have something to fry in. As you can see, it's already starting to fatten the pan nicely. We can use it for later. We'll take it out. And we go in with our meat. Now, I always like to season all along the way. So we'll salt this. Well, we're going to have to season at the end as well, but we just want to give these a bit of color. This is good enough. We'll put it in another container. Get some more fat. This is a great trick if you have a fatty piece of meat and you're going to fry stuff afterwards. It gives so much more taste than just the oil. And now for a curry paste. It's like breathing in pepper spray. And here as well, don't worry if it sticks a bit to the bottom. That's going to be removed in the long cooking process. We'll just fry this off. I used about 2/3 of what we made. Now we can add a bit of coconut milk. Make sure that we use up, scrape the bottom. And add back our meat. Our cinnamon stick, our tea bag. Turn down the heat because it shouldn't boil very hard. And we'll add a bit more of coconut milk. And that's a good trick. If you feel that it's getting too dry too early, you can always add some coconut milk. We add our palm sugar, half a tablespoon of our shrimp paste. I prefer this on a bit of the sour side, so I like about, at least to start with, 2 tablespoons of tamarind water, a little bit of ketchup mayonnaise. That's probably a good teaspoon. We might add more later. Now it's slowly coming back up to a boil. We're going to turn it down just to simmer away. And last but not least, still have chili in my throat, some cut up Kaffir lime leaves. Now we'll leave this for an hour and then we'll check on it again. We'll see you in an hour. So as you can see, it's reducing nicely. We're about 1 hour into this. But we'll still add the rest of the coconut milk. And we'll start adding about a handful of, or maybe 2 handsful. And then we might add a bit later on. We'll continue to simmer this for probably another hour. You can try the meat and see that it falls apart. Then we'll make sure that it has the taste it needs. And that's basically it. So see you in another hour. So we're slowly getting there. We can try to fish out our tea bag. You see the oil here on top, that's from the coconut. Cinnamon as well. And there's one star anise that escaped. let's give this a try. I would say it's pretty perfect. Maybe a little bit more salt, a bit more sweetness, and a bit more tamarind water. I'll actually switch this out. Another try in. That's really great. Now the last thing we need to check is the consistency of the meat. Take a piece. That's just falling apart. So we're pretty much ready to serve this up. Just move the camera and we'll see it from the other angle. So that, all in all, was about 2 hours now. Now, I hope you can see from the top there, the fat that's separating. That's what you want to reach in the cooking process. You want the fat to separate and the whole thing to go a very dark brown. Now, I would normally serve this with some rice, just plain rice or coconut rice. But I'm gonna leave that for later when I eat it with my family. And for us now, I'm just gonna serve this up and eat it pure. But to make it look a little bit nicer, I'll put some chili and some Kaffir lime leaves. Just finely shredded. Now there we have it. A beef rendang, one of my favorite curries. Now let's dig in. Now I'm allowing myself to eat this with a spoon because like that you get most of the sauce. Just get some of the sauce first. That's fantastic. Piece of meat. For me, this is pure heaven. It's salty, sour, sweet, and a great combination of it. You can do this with lamb, you can do this with chicken, you can do it with other pieces of beef. I really like the short rib. It still has a bit of a texture to it, so it doesn't completely fall apart, but you can tell that it's so tender. Can't stop. This is a fantastic curry. Now, if you haven't tried beef rendang before, give it a try. If you have tried it before, just cook it again. You know you like it. But that's pretty much it for today. I hope you enjoyed the episode. Do me the big favor, hit the thumbs up button. It really helps me to get my content out there in the YouTube universe. So I thank you for your support for that. And if you haven't done so yet, hit the subscribe, check the bell icon as well. But that's it for today. Take care. Bye-bye.